Allan Advisors, creating aha moments, presents Aha Business Podcasts. We provide opportunities to discover information to help you run your business and guide your decision making. The more you know, the better decisions you make. For more information, log on to allanhirschadvisors.com. I'm your host, Allan Hirsch. Welcome this evening to my podcast. My guest this evening is Christine Blosdale. She runs her own podcast. It's called Out of the Box with Christine. She's from Australia, which is rather unusual for me, but welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And I don't have an Australian accent, but
I know you don't.
Good day, mate. Good day, mate.
Yes, you could. So I usually get started with one question. What motivates you to get up in the morning and go to work?
Oh, I'm a creator. I love to create. I'm a development director for a radio station in Los Angeles where I raise about $1.5 million a year at least. And I love to create opportunities for people. I love to inspire them and motivate them. So I've been also a radio producer for many, many years, producing other talent, not myself, but I love to create. I love to make something new. I love to do graphics. I love to do podcasts. I love to do webinars and workshops, and I love speaking. I love public speaking because I can see the light bulbs in people's eyes when I talk about an idea or a way that they can maybe generate income in a way that they never thought of before. So I'm a creator. I'm the giving tree, Allan. I like to give a lot of apples from my apple giving tree.
Yeah. That's great. So how'd you get started with this podcast?
Well, I had been in radio for almost 2 decades in Los Angeles, and I'm also broadcast in New York. And I was a producer for many of those years, again, producing talent, writing the copy, getting the guests together, writing the introductions and all of that stuff. And it was just kind of a fluke where the host that I was working with couldn't do the show. It was one of those stories like, you see in a movie. The star is not able to, or the star is sick and we need the backup, right? The second stringer. And I knew everything about timing and flow and everything, but I had not been on air. And I found it so comfortable and so easy and fun. That's the main thing. I could do it 24 hours a day and it would be easy breezy and fun for me. And so the audience picked that up. They feel your intention as they do in a podcast show. They feel your intention through your voice. And so I went from radio and my job as raising a lot of money for a nonprofit radio station, right? So there's always a pitch. There's always not a plea, but an ask for donations to keep the station going. And I'm very good at that. I'm very good at asking for money. But it was always tied into that was the purpose. And so I wanted to create my own podcast shows so that I could talk about things that were important to me, topics that were important to me, and not have to do that pitch, not have to ask anybody for anything. So I created Out of the Box with Christine, and the tag is the podcast for conscious folk. So I can talk to conscious entrepreneurs, people that are thinking outside of the box in relation to health, wealth, love. It's pretty much, any topic I want to cover. And so that's why I started the podcast about 3 years ago I started it.
So what is this, you've taken it to a great level. So you also coach online,
Yes.
which is, part of what I do, but how do you go about doing it?
Well, I have an unusual coaching business. I do coach people on how to create a podcast and a YouTube channel and the art of the interview and all of that great stuff. Not just the technical stuff about podcasting, like what kind of mic to get and what kind of software, blah, 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 blah. It's really about creating something that's entertaining and engaging for the audience. And it's not so much about a showcase for you as the host, but it's really about bringing out your guests. But I'm an intuitive business coach. So I work from complete intuition, which we all have. We all have psychic abilities. We all have intuition, but I'm not like psychic Cleo with the ball, the crystal ball. Um, I use what I call my GPS system is my goosebump producing system, and basically that is that when I'm talking to a client and they're saying I'm stuck or I don't know what to do for a business, I don't know where to start. Into just I'll get downloads, and they're not thoughts. They're not. It's not a voice. Sometimes it's a visual in my imagination, and I'll see a book and I'll see the cover of the book and I'll see how it looks. I'll see their picture on the back, and they may be thinking that they just want a podcast, but I'm like, you have an amazing best-selling book inside of you. Or they may have something that could go very viral in a YouTube channel and gain a lot of followers, but also help a lot of people. So as I'm working with them, I'll get these, and when I get confirmation, I'll literally get like goosebumps down my spine or my arms, and I just say, "This is what I'm getting. Does this resonate with you?" And they'll go, "Oh my God, you know what? I've always wanted to do that, but I was too afraid, or I thought that I wasn't qualified enough, or I didn't have enough knowledge." And I'm just there to say, "Yes, you do." And usually that connection is for me to help them get to that place. So it's fun. I love working this way. It's absolutely fun.
So have you changed anything in the last 3 years, over the last 4 or 5 months with the coronavirus, the pandemic? You can't do public speaking.
No.
All of that's gone by the wayside because you can't do it. You can't get people together. So have you had any ability to make any changes?
Yeah, yes. And actually it's been very beneficial for me. I hate to say that COVID has been the best thing to happen to me because it really threw a lot of things in the works. I was in Los Angeles, my wife is here in Australia, and I was going to fly to be with her and our children in April. And she said back in the middle of March, she goes, babe, I think this COVID thing might take off. Like, I think, I think you should book your flight a little bit earlier, change it." And I was like, "Oh, come on, it's going to be so hard to change my flight." And when I went to look at it, my flight with Virgin Australia, it was gone. It was like I didn't even pay for the flight. There was no information on it. And I called the partner airline in the United States, Delta, and I was on the phone for a good hour, and they said, "I'm sorry, honey, Australia, they're canceling all their flights. They do not want Americans there." And I was like, "My what? My wife is there. I have to be with her at this time because we didn't know what was going to happen." So she said, "Okay, there's one flight. There's one flight." And I said, "When is it?" She goes, "Today." I said, "Okay." And she said, "It leaves in a couple hours, and I can they say that there's a return flight, but we don't know if you'll be able to return or not." And so literally within a couple seconds I had to make the decision to pack a bag. I ran to the bank, got a little bit of cash, and luckily I found a friend who was so dear to take me to LAX. And anybody that is from California, Los Angeles area, when you get a friend to take you to the airport, they're your friend.
Yes.
Okay. It's like somebody helping you move. It's like, so I literally got on a flight that same day, March 18th, and I've been here since. And I knew as I took off on that tarmac, Alan, I got to tell you, I had the most surreal feeling, like I may not touch this American soil again. And I left everything. I left my house. I left dishes in the sink. I just said, I got to get to the love of my life. And I'm very grateful that she spurred me to do that, because I've been here, now it's like 6 months or something.
Yeah,
And it's been a long time, but
and when are you going to be able to get back?
I don't know. And that's the mystery of life, isn't it? You
Yes.
don't know. And so I have bills, I have a, rent to pay, and my work is in Los Angeles. And so I just was very, honest and open, and communicated with the general manager at the station and said, this is the situation. I can still do record, fundraising shows via the internet. I did grab my mic. I threw my microphone in my suitcase. I made sure that I had that because those are my tools. My computer, I have a recording shield, and my microphone. And because I knew I wanted to still do my podcast shows, and I was hoping I could do the fund drive. And you know what? From 7,000 miles away, I've been able to continue to raise a lot of money for the station, plus keep doing my podcasting. And why COVID's been really good for me is that everybody had all this time on their hands. And podcasts, as you know, are exploding right now. I
Yes.
mean, there's like 800,000 plus, maybe even more active podcasts. You've got people that have no experience in broadcast journalism, that have a passion and they have a business, or they just have this creative urge that they want to get be seen and heard. And so business for me has been actually quite good. Most of my clients are in LA. A lot of them on the East Coast. So we just have a little time zone thing.
Yeah, just
But
about 16 hours or something like that.
yeah. And when I got here, my book, which is in Kindle and in paperback, Your Amazing Itty Bitty Podcast Book, The Top 15 Reasons Why You Need to Tap Into the Power and Profits of Podcasting, that became a #1 bestseller on Amazon in the US and also Australia. So the timing was actually perfect because I got speaking requests and interviews based on the book, and now I'm just busier than ever. And everything speaking is all online. It's all on Zoom. So
Well, yeah,
it's
and the businesses here all went off-site. So you're no different than you're down the street from the station.
exactly.
You just have to have the
Exactly.
timing right. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think now.
Yes. And everything, and Allan, everything is okay. The world is still here tomorrow. Just
Right,
so you know. It's
right.
all good.
And it's, you're halfway around the world, and we can still communicate. You're still doing your podcast. And so that hasn't changed.
No. And like I said, because I've been able to do these like I've done the Best You Expo. I just spoke this week for a group of women in business here in Australia. But my client base has expanded so that I have a client now in Mumbai. I have 2 in the UK, that's a little difficult because the UK and Australia time is like whack. But I get up in the middle of the night and talk with them if I can. So my client base for my coaching has grew so vastly. And I also work on a compassionate pay scale, sliding scale. So I'm able to work with people that, that have enough money to invest and work with me one-on-one intensely. And then I work with people that maybe don't have the funding or the capital to invest in a lot of money to create a podcast. So I work with them on a little bit sliding scale or in shorter bits. So I've been blessed. I'm very lucky.
So
And I get to be with my wife and our kids in beautiful Australia.
yes, in wintertime Australia. Uh,
Yes, yes, it's cold. Yes, but
yeah,
it's lovely.
yeah. Well, when I went to Australia, I went in January, so it was your summertime.
Hot.
Yes, it was
It
very
has
hot.
extremes. It has extremes. It's right now it's very cold, but in the summer, which is their December, January, which is so weird because at Christmas time, Santa, is wearing shorts because it is hot. It is so hot. And I told them, I said, why doesn't every house in Australia have solar panels? And they're like, what? What? I go, it's so hot. The sun is so intense. You should have solar panels. You could heat, but they're a coal industry. Good old coal.
Yes, I know. We're trying to get rid of that here too, but we're not. Uh, Let me take a break for a couple commercials, and when we come back, I'm going to continue the conversation with Christine Blosdale from Out of the Box with Christine. I'm Allan Hirsch of Allan Hirsch Advisors. This is AHA Business Podcast.
Hi, Rick Dempsey here. As a former Oriole and Series MVP, I know a lot about winning and championship teams. Today, I am happy to tell you about my award-winning web design and internet marketing team, Adventure Web Interactive. For over 2 decades, many of Maryland's most successful firms have chosen Adventure Web as their strategic partner for web design and online marketing. I can tell you from using them personally, their search engine optimization and social media programs have saved their clients tens of thousands over the traditional pay-per-click digital agency. Visit adventurewebinteractive.com and listen to what clients such as Hercules Fence, TriStar Electric, ABC Rental, Rhine Landscaping, Markdown's Office Furniture, and many more highly successful firms have to say. And don't forget to tell them Rick Dempsey sent you.
Strengthen, protect, and preserve your retirement nest egg. Scott Garceau here for the Stephen J. Sless Group, Baltimore's reverse mortgage specialist. Reverse mortgages have evolved to become a viable retirement tool. Enjoy retirement without monthly mortgage payments, improve cash flow, pay off debt, and stretch retirement savings. Stephen and his team can offer strategies to make housing wealth work for you. If you're 62 or older, learn if a reverse mortgage could help. Visit reversebaltimore.com.
An equal housing opportunity lender. This is not a commitment to lend. Stephen J. Sless, NMLS 298581. PRMI, NMLS 3094.
Welcome back to the show. My guest again is Christine Blosdale from Out of the Box with Christine. Welcome back, Christine, and thank you. You showed us your book, the Itty Bitty Podcast, I think it was called.
Your amazing Itty Bitty Podcast book.
Okay.
It, literally, you can read it in the bathroom.
Okay. It depends on how long, but anyway, long or short, your stay is and whether you sit or stand. So tell us a little bit about the book and why you think it became a bestseller.
Well, this is my first book. Actually, I've always dreamed of being an author, but again, I was like so many of my clients, I was thinking it was too out of reach. Like, I thought I had to have like a smoking jacket on and a typewriter, and I had to write some Tom Clancy novel, and it was too overwhelming. I was like, I can't write 400 pages of anything. I was like stymied. But I met this amazing publishing company called Itty Bitty, and it's literally there, and they have a great system. If you're an expert in your field, basically you just write about what you know, and there's a template to follow, so it's relatively easy. And I found the process of writing so enjoyable because it's different than talking. And sometimes people think, well, I'll just take what I say like on a podcast show and just make it into a book. But we speak differently in writing than we do in conversation. And those differences really kind of expanded my synapses a bit. And I love the process of it because I could take all of my knowledge from my experience in podcasting and also broadcast journalism, right? And combine that into a very short form book, easy to read. So like on Kindle, which the sales have done really, really well because people get instant access to it and they can refer to it. There's also clickable links. So if I say a great resource for businesses who want to be on podcast shows, and if, by the way, I'm talking to you. If you have a business, you need to be on a podcast show. You need to be on a podcast show because it's free marketing. The host is gracious, usually like someone like Allan. They just want to promote you, and you can reach an audience that you would never be able to reach on your own. So one of the things that I talk about in the book is you can, how ways that you can earn a living and you can make money, how you can get new clients, get leads, and things like that is being a guest on a podcast show, somebody else's show. And so I have links in there. Now, the paperback book, it has the full URL, but on the Kindle version, you just click on it and you can be taken to my resources, the places that I use, the sources that I use. So I found that process really, really fun. And I'm happy to say that the reviews are outstanding. There's the other thing. When you write a big book, sometimes people don't get through it. Our attention span as humans has shrunk dramatically.
Well, you're right. It used to be, you could sit through a movie for an hour or two. Uh, but today, it's instant knowledge. You get it instantly. You have your
Well,
iPhone. I mean, people
yep,
don't even think about it, but the iPhone's just 15 years old.
I know. And we depend upon it, and it's with us everywhere.
Right.
So, you can you can actually get a book and read it, and especially like an itty bitty book, you can go through it and read it in a short amount of time, and you gain all that information and knowledge. And so it was a pleasure. The whole process of writing it was a pleasure. Getting the feedback from people that I know that read it, and their excitement about starting a podcast. Now, of course, at the end of the book, I recommend that you work with a coach or a mentor, so you save yourself some money and time and frustration, because if not, it's a very long process, as you know, it can be. So, of course, I recommend a coach or a mentor, and I say, if by the way, I happen to be a coach and
That's right.
mentor, so I use it as a business builder, the book, as I use the podcast as a business builder, and that's what I teach people, is how to use their podcast, their YouTube channel as a business builder, not just as a platform to put stuff out into the world, but to actually use it as a business builder and the different ways you can generate income from that.
So the book itself, you mentioned there are 15, I guess, stepping stones or to build to the right kind of podcast. So what are one or two of those that our listeners would be interested in knowing in order to get to this kind of process?
Well, what I wanted to do was to take the top 15 reasons why you need to become a podcaster, why you want to create a podcast. And I didn't want it to be all about money, because that's not what I'm all about. And as human beings, when you really think about it, that's not what we're about. We tend to focus in on that because we live in a material world, right? So I wanted to make the
Yeah,
15 reasons be not just financial, but personal satisfaction as well.
well, which is interesting when we talk about people and their jobs. Money is not the number one reason they leave.
No,
They leave
no,
because they're not appreciated.
they're not appreciated. They're bored.
Or
They're
right. It's a lot of other reasons. It's not the money. And
no.
yet, and that when someone is unhappy, you try to reward them with money.
Yeah. Yes. I
So
remember that story. There was a story with Elizabeth Taylor and Cleopatra. She was Cleopatra, and everybody knows that she's perfect as that role. But I forget who the director was. If it was Cecil B. DeMille or it was some big Hollywood guy, and they wanted Elizabeth Taylor to be Cleopatra, and she didn't really want to do it. She's like, oh God, I don't really. So she thought that if she asked some crazy salary, and then in her contract, like, I want lunch every day from Chasen's, I want the Chasen's chili from Hollywood. She made it really, like, her contract was like full on, hoping that they'd go, this diva is too complicated, we'll just go to somebody else. Well, they went ahead and they said, good, fine, we'll do it. And she was like, dude, because they just were like, we'll throw enough money at you. And she was not very fond of that whole project, but
well,
then again, she was made for that part.
yeah, but she also what was her boyfriend? She met somebody there that Richard Burton. Right.
Richard Burton, and then
Right.
that whole love.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
But-
right. Anyway,
But I wanted
that's off track.
some of the reasons why you want to get into podcasting, and this is better than anybody, Allan, is well, number one, it's the new gold rush, and right now is the time to get in, not a year from now or 5 years from now. You need to jump in now. You can use podcasting to promote your own business. So if you have your show, of course, within your show, you can promote what you do. If you're a coach, consultant, tax advisor, just don't make it an infomercial, the whole damn show about you and asking people to be your clients or buy something, because you'll turn people off. You want to be entertaining and engaging. You don't want to be
right. I want to have a guest speak. The guest has the knowledge.
Yes, And you want to give your listeners something that they can go, oh my God, I learned so much from that. I was inspired by that.
Right.
So those are that's a couple of the quick reasons, but you can, again, as I mentioned, you can promote you and your business as a guest on other podcast shows. You can actually, through your podcast show, become an expert, and I do throwing up the air quotes, an expert in your field, and land speaking gigs, public speaking gigs when everything opens up.
It's up.
Um,
Or
you can
you could do Zoom speaking.
you can be asked, as you can actually say, hey, I'd like to be a speaker at your next event. Everything is online. All of your networking groups, all of your organizations, they're all online, and they're looking for speakers. They really are, because they're scrambling right now. And so you can say, hey, I'd love to be speaking at your next event. I'll be the keynote speaker. If you're funny, then say, hey, I am funny and I'm captivating. I'd love to talk to your audience about XYZ. You can meet celebrities and authors, movers and shakers. When you tell somebody that you have a podcast show, and especially once you've done it for a bit and you've got a little bit of an audience, you can write to the publisher let's say you have a favorite author, you can write to the publisher if you like, or you can contact them directly. Everybody has Facebook. So you can actually book people that you admire. I've interviewed some of the most amazing people. Dr. Judith Orloff, who's a fantastic empath and best-selling author. I've had Kelly Carlin, George Carlin's daughter, who is funny in her own right, brilliant mind. Dr. Wangari Maathai, who is a Nobel, well, she wasn't a Peace Prize winner, but she was a laureate, and she's recently, she had passed, unfortunately. But Ed Asner, all these different people, they're happy to come on your podcast, as long as you're prepared and make it a good experience for them. Another reason why you want to tap into podcasting is so you can share your passions and inspire other people. If you have had a bout of cancer and you not only just survived it, but you're thriving, and you want to share your experience to help inspire other people, you can do that through your podcast. Let's see. Use your podcast to help others, so you can help nonprofit organizations. You can talk about an issue that's not getting covered, and promote that issue, promote that organization that's helping people. And then reason 8 is show me the money, tapping into multiple sources of income. And in the book, I actually say, perhaps this is the chapter that you jump to, first, because you're like, I just want to just tell me how I can make money.
And it's,
And
to me,
as you
it's
know,
not about money.
You had a commercial break. Yeah, no, but you just had a commercial break.
Right. I'm selling
And
commercials. I'm selling ad time on the show.
exactly. So you can make money selling ad time, getting sponsors. When you're first starting out, start with your family and friends, people who have businesses, and say, hey, can I do a 15-second or a 30-second ad spot promoting your business, telling people about your website, and ask them for, a couple $100 if you like in the beginning. But you can also use your show to promote your own products, services, webinars. Right now, what I do is I don't have outside sponsors. I only sponsor my products and services because the audience is familiar with me. So I put those little radio spots within my show to promote my coaching services or to promote the book, things like that. A couple other ways that you can do generate your income is, of course, you can always ask for donations to help you pay with production costs and things like that. Another thing you can do is you can create through Zoom your own webinars and workshops. You can promote them on your podcast. You can use your podcast episodes as potential webinar and seminar content. Just make sure you get a signed release. You can sell your ebooks as well. Ebooks now are so easy to create. And just like writing a best-selling book, you can, with super easy software, create an ebook on any topic that you want. how to build a bird uh,
Bird bath.
bird bath. Exactly. How to build a bird bath, how to save hundreds of dollars on your taxes. Um, you know, I have an ebook just called "So You Want Your Own Podcast Show," and it's really basic, but it's something that I can gift to my listeners if I choose to, or have it as a free add-on. But I can also just point people to it, and for a couple bucks, they get something immediately that they can use. So use your podcast also to sell those type of things. If you have a really cute, kitschy, awesome podcast show, you can start also selling merchandise. And that means everything from t-shirts, hats, sweatpants, whatever you want. And this is done really easy now with Printful. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I love
Um,
Printful because I don't have to hold any inventory. And I've got baseball hats, I've got t-shirts, I've got a baby outfit, and that's for my Boss AF brand, which we haven't even spoken about. But Boss AF is just tapping into that whole boss babe kind of thing. It's anyone who's an entrepreneur, and your boss as F. Let's just put it that way, because
okay.
I don't know if we can say those words. But that brand, I don't have to hold any inventory, and I work through Printful, and it's all print on demand. So it looks, if you go to my store, it looks like I have all kinds of clothing and gear, and I don't have to hold any of that inventory, and I just get paid. So every couple days, I get a little notification. Congratulations, you got a sale. I'm like, we like that. So if you have something that's a cool podcast show that's kind of kitschy, you can add merchandise as well. You can create premium content. So in other words, what we're talking about now with Allan, this is free, really, because it's on a podcast and you can hear it through your podcast platform. But if you create premium content, depending on who you have hosting it, you can ask people, you could charge people for it if you wish. Um, YouTube used to have a paid platform on their videos, but now I don't think they do. Vimeo, you can set it up. So Vimeo, you can set up a special paid, you know, special edition or podcast show that you have people actually pay to view or um, watch. And that needs to be very special, obviously, if people are going to be paying you. You can produce events with fellow podcasters. You can produce virtual events now. It doesn't have to be physical.
Right.
So you could create, let's say, um, well, Allan is a genius working with CEOs and executives. So if I wanted to do a seminar or a webinar and focus in on that and have an aspect of that, I could join forces with Allan. I joined forces with the publisher of Your Amazing Itty Bitty Podcast book. I joined forces with her and did a webinar on how to use your book and your podcast as your business builder. Lots of people came, and we recorded it, and then we took that recording and made it a product. So now people can buy that course, and it's already done, and that just revenue again, just thinking outside of that box. You feeling me? You getting me a little bit
Yes,
on that?
absolutely. I'm
You can
loving
also
it.
you can also transcribe your shows. Obviously, you can transcribe the audio portion of your shows and have it be a blog, which helps in your search engine, or you can eventually make a book. I have a client, Allan, who's in her 70s, and she's creating a podcast that is literally just a platform for her book. And each guest is a chapter in her book, and it's focused on women, and amazing women from all around the world. So each podcast show, she's taken that audio and she's going to be making it into a book. She has to do some editing with it, but she's got all the content. So you can multi-purpose, repurpose your content for YouTube, for webinars, for a book. The possibilities are endless.
Right. It's amazing possibilities. I mean, I did a live talk radio show here in Baltimore, but with the pandemic, I've changed that. I'm now doing podcasts. I'm on yours. I've on a couple others, and I'm expanding my market. And I'm not
You're,
talking, and I don't talk about my market that
no,
much. I'm
no.
talking to you to provide information to CEOs and business owners, because the more they know, the better decisions they can make. And that's
And
exactly it.
people get to like you. Here's the other thing. If you had to cold call somebody and say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, I'm Helen Hirsch, and I would really like to talk to you about, that whole thing." They don't get a feel for you. Whereas when you're doing a podcast, and especially if you're doing the video portion of it, a YouTube, because YouTube is again, we talked about this before, it's the second largest search engine in the world, which is owned by
By the
the,
largest.
the largest. So everybody goes to YouTube and their searches are, how do you, right? How do you create a podcast? How do you rank higher in search engine optimization, SEO? How do you build a bird bath? Okay. Um, and so millions and millions of people around the world are going there. If you have a business, you need to be on YouTube, because that's where everybody is going to get their information. And so when somebody gets to see Allan or see me, and they feel my energy and they can see my eyes, and I'm not walking around with a black coat, and they can see us and feel us, they're much more apt to do business with us. And then when they reach out to us, Allan, there is no sell, because they already want to be involved with us.
Right,
So
right. And it also gives you an entree into them to say, I'm Allan Hirsch. I'm calling about a podcast. Are you interested in being on it?
yes.
And so many people are. I mean, I've gotten some of the best sellers in some of the local books around for business books that they're glad to be on the show.
Well,
And
yeah, it's free. It's free marketing. It's free publicity.
right,
And also anybody that is interested in being expanding their business and being a speaker or a coach or a consultant, you need the practice of being interviewed. Remember, I spent, well, oh my goodness. Okay, so all in all, 25 years of me interviewing other people. I worked for America Online for a brief amount of time, and I was a celebrity, sort of a entertainment writer, and I would go to the junkets and interview all of the stars in the movie. So that's how I started out. And then I worked for the radio station where I was interviewing people. Nobody ever interviewed me. I was always interviewing people for decades. And so with the podcast, I'm still interviewing people, but with using the podcast as a business, right? And writing the book and getting out there more, people are asking me to come on their shows and to interview me. And as a business, as a podcaster, as a coach, I'm like, hell yes, I would love to be on your show. And I don't
absolutely.
care, what show it is. I have an interview tomorrow with a really young podcaster from India. I'm like, if you could talk to me in English so I can understand you, I'm there. I'm
Yeah,
there.
and I'm rather old, so so from one end to the other end of the spectrum. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, well, this has been great. This has really
Oh,
been
thank
great,
you.
Christine, and I really appreciate you getting up early in the morning and doing it. So, how can listeners reach you uh, in case they want to reach out to you as a coach,
Yes.
get your book?
It's
How can
super
they do
easy.
that?
Everything that I have is available at my website, which is Christine Christine Blosdale, BLOSDALE.com. And I have within that website um, the page for the itty bitty book. I have my coaching. I have my boot camp information. And I would, anyone who wants to just talk to me, I provide a complimentary 20-minute strategy session. And I am very intense. So I pack a lot in that 20 minutes. And basically I ask them everything from where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's been holding you back? And it's an intuitive session and it's recorded. So they get it after we talk. It's theirs to keep so they can refer to it. But then I get an idea of what I can do with them if I want to work with them. Also because I'm at a stage
Absolutely.
I'm at a stage in life, Allan, that I choose who I work. I don't want to just work with anybody. If somebody just gives me money and they go, work with me, damn it. I'm like, no, I don't need to.
Right.
But yeah, they can find out information there and book a session as well at ChristineBlosdale.com.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And good luck to you, and let's try to stay in touch.
Thank you. And if you were my client, Allan, I would say I would give you an A++ on your report card because you are very, very good. You're a very good host. You know how to interview very well. And I am quite impressed with your podcasting skills.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm Allan Hirsch of Allan Hirsch Advisors. To reach me, go to my website, which is allanhirschadvisors.com. You can listen to podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. And again, I'm Allan Hirsch, and this has been AHA Business Podcast. Thank you again, Christine. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.